Hello everyone, I welcome you all once again to the Political Science e-learning portal, and today we are going to deal with the philosophy of the Constitution. Learners, as you all know that since last 62 years, our country India has been governed on the principles and objectives of the Constitution. Now, the questions that arise over here are: why did our national leaders give constitution to us? On what principles was a constitution built? And what are the criticisms levied against our constitution? We will be dealing with all these questions in our today's video. As you all know that in the very first chapter we had studied that the constitution is a set of documents that sees how the state is formed and on what principles and norms the state should run. These rules and regulations help in limiting the powers of the government. You know that modern day governments can be very powerful because they have the authority over force and police. State can use this instrument to curb or take away the freedom of the people. Thus, Constitution sets rules and regulations which define the power of the government and even can limit it. This means the Constitution is a set of rules and regulations on which the state should run. But these rules and regulations are formed keeping a norm in mind. For example, every individual in India has the right to freedom of speech. This law has a principle that every individual's freedom should be respected. Now, if there is a particular law, like for example, the government will check the information which is passed on from one individual to the another, like was the case of the Vernacular Press Act during the British time. This means that government does not respect freedom of individuals and want to curb the freedom to speak. This means that the state runs on an authoritarian principle and not on democratic. Therefore, Constitution is not only the set of rules and regulations, but it also shows the norms and principles on which the state is run. So, there's a definite link between the moral values and the laws. Well, now when we come to the word philosophy, we must understand that philosophy is a study of ideas and beliefs about the meaning of life. Now, you must be surprised that why this kind of word has been added to the word constitution. Well, this is not only the kind of the philosophy, the ideas or the beliefs which have been followed by a citizen. In fact, it is all related to the life of the citizen, and the citizen is the part of the constitution. A bit confused? Well, in simple words, you can compare the citizen with the solar system. Like for example, in the solar system, we have sun at the center and all the planets revolve around it. Same way, citizen is the center around which the constitution revolves. Here, we are not going to go through the kind of philosophy which you must have heard before, but we are basically talking about the political philosophy. As soon as we add the word political, it definitely gets connected to the political aspect or what you call the political theory. So, what political philosophy actually is? Well, to answer this question, we must keep three things in our mind. First, we need to understand the conceptual structure of the Constitution. It means that we must ask the questions like: what are the possible meanings of the terms used in the Constitution, such as rights, citizenship, minority, or democracy. Furthermore, we must attempt to work out a coherent vision of the society and polity conditional upon an interpretation of the key concepts of the Constitution. We must have better grasp of the sets of ideals embedded in the Constitution. Well, a final point is that the Indian Constitution must be read in conjunction with the Constituent Assembly. Debates in order to refine and raise to a higher theoretical plane the justification of values embedded in the Constitution. This means that a philosophical treatment of a value is incomplete if a detailed justification for it is not provided. When the framers of the Constitution chose to guide Indian society and polity by a set of rules, they must have been corresponding set of reasons. Many of them, though, may not have been fully explained. Before we delve deeper, let us have a quick recap of what Constitution is and what is the main base of the Indian Constitution. We know that Constitution is a set of written rules. It enables and highlights on the fact of the distribution of powers among different authorities. It also determines the organization of the government. It even distributes the powers in various organs of the government, like for example, between the legislative, executive as well as the judiciary. The general principles given to exercise these powers are all mentioned in the Constitution. The Constitution defines the relationship between the center and the state, and even the relationship between the state and the individual. Now we must understand that every constitution has its preamble. Preamble actually is a kind of a brief introductory statement that sets out the guiding purpose and principles of the document which we call Constitution. And one more important thing, all the preambles start with the letter V. Like for example, the preamble of India states, "We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure all its citizens justice, liberty, equality and fraternity." We are going to deal with all these terms in detail in our chapter. But first, let's analyze the Constitution of Japan that was framed in 1947. You must know that the Japanese Constitution is popularly known as the Peace Constitution. The preamble states that we, the Japanese people, desire peace for all time and are deeply conscious of the high ideals controlling human relationship. Now, the philosophy of Japanese Constitution is thus based on the ideals of peace. When we look at Article 9 of this Constitution, we find that this article states, number 1, aspiring sincerely to an international peace based on justice and order. It means that the Japanese people forever have renounced war as a sovereign right of the nation and the threat or use of force as means of settling international disputes. That means Japan has clearly stated in its preamble that it will not take up any kind of violence in order to sort out any kind of national or international disputes because it is an ambassador of peace. Secondly, in order to accomplish the aim of the preceding paragraph, land, sea, and air forces as well as other war potentials will never be maintained. This shows that how the context of making the constitution dominates the thinking of the constitution makers. Here we find that the constitution makers of Japan at that particular time when they were making the constitution of Japan had one important thing in their mind, and that was proclaiming and following the path of peace. They never wanted any kind of war or destruction to take place in their country, and that is why they took peace as the major key of their constitution, and that is why the constitution is known as the peace constitution of the world. Just as the constitution makers of India took the keywords like sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, giving justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity to all the citizens of the country. So we can, after reading the constitution of any country, can analyze the thinking of the constitution makers when they were framing the constitution of their own country. Now let's see how constitution acts as a means of democratic transformation. We must understand that constitution provides the basic rules and therefore it prevents state from turning tyrannical. It also provides peaceful democratic means in order to bring about social transformation, or what you call as social change. Moreover, for a previously colonialized people, constitution announce and embody the first real exercise of political self-determination. Now you can understand this very clearly in context of India, where India has been governed and has been colonialized for ages by the Britishers. After getting freedom, when the very first constitution of free India was framed, it gave the political rights and freedom to its citizens in order to govern themselves as well as govern their country in a very free manner. So this is one of the way how constitution acts as a means of democratic transformation, or what we call as changes. Even our first Prime Minister Nehru demanded for a constituent assembly because he believed that constituent assembly is not just a body of people or a gathering of able lawyers. In fact, it is a nation on the move, throwing away the shell of its past political and possibly social structure and fashioning for itself a new garment of its own making. In simple words, we can say that constitution provides a new outlook to a country and gives it a new meaning. We must also understand that the Indian constitution was designed to break the shackles of traditional social hierarchies and to usher in a new era of freedom, equality, and justice. Constitution exists not only to limit people in power but to empower those who traditionally have been deprived of it. It can give vulnerable people the power to achieve collective good. In this way, Constitution brings changes in democracy. Now, the another question that arises over here is, what is the need to go back to the Constituent Assembly? See, a political philosophy approach to the Constitution is needed not only to find out the moral content expressed in it and to evaluate its claims, but possibly to use it to arbitrate between varying interpretations of the many core values in our polity. And if you remember the core values that are embedded in our country's preamble is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So we need to see whether these core values have been clearly defined and practically used by the Constituent Assembly while drafting the Constitution. And this is possible only by adopting the political philosophical approach to the Constitution. So I hope this video clears your basic doubts regarding the philosophical approach towards any constitution. In our next video, we will be dealing with the political philosophical approach towards Indian constitution. Till then, keep watching my videos and updating your knowledge. Stay indoors, stay safe, stay tuned. Thank you.